Okay, the artist Saweetie had this to say. It's very interesting.
Do you feel like the industry has tried to count you out? Like,
Since I started.
talk about it, man. Because I think people look, to be honest, people see you're gorgeous. You're getting endless bags. You are, listen, that girl, right? I don't think they understand how many doors, how many rejections, how many times people have counted you out.
I saw it on TikTok. They were like, they talk about pretty privilege, but they don't talk about pretty punishment. There's been so many times I've just been counted out, and I know that it's behind animosity. I know it's because of a hidden agenda, but it makes me work harder. But this has happened like my whole life. So it's like what I deal with in the industry is just different face, same case.
Oof.
You know what? I can relate. I definitely can relate. Because my good looks hindered me too in this music industry. Listen, don't think all the success I had is because of my good looks. No. No. It's not because of my good looks. I know that, you know, I'm just appealing like that to everybody, you know, but listen, I had to struggle. People would not let me come into certain rooms because my looks, okay? I couldn't get certain things done in the industry because of these beautiful looks right here, y'all. Look at that. I'm telling you, it was hard. People hated on me. It wasn't because my beats were not that good at the moment. It wasn't because I wasn't ready for that, you know, for the music industry. It wasn't because I just wasn't as talented when I first started out. It wasn't because there's none of that. It wasn't because I had to grind for a while. It was because of my looks. And I'm telling you guys right now, you know, hey, as handsome as I am, it was a struggle. It was a struggle, yeah. Yeah, man. That's the industry for you. They only want ugly people. And let me stop, man. Let me stop. But in all seriousness, I got to have one of these real studio conversations right now. You know what I'm saying? And this is one of these conversations that I really just want to, you know, have with y'all, because if there was a attractive woman in the studio with me right now and she said this is the conversation I would have with her. Because I'm very honest when it comes to artists in the studio when they ask me questions, because I've had my experiences and other people have had their experiences. But what I try to do is I try to find, you know, like the root of it all. Like, what is it? Okay, what is the real problem right here? And my first question would have been, in what situation would that have been in? That would have been my first question. What situation would that have been to where your career in the music business would have been halted because of your looks? Knowing the history of the music business. We all know in the music business that they will pick looks over talent. This has been going on for years. One of the main examples of this is the song, I think it's called Can I Make You Sweat? It's called Gonna Make You Sweat. Everybody Dance Now. Y'all remember that song? Everybody Dance Now. That's one of the main examples, because the actual woman that is singing that song, she is not in the video. She's a little voluptuous, a little big-boned. Not ugly, but, you know, she didn't have the look that the label wanted. So what did they do? They got a little skinny little thing in there that looked good and had her lip sync to her part in that whole video, to where everybody was thinking, oh, that's the girl that's singing the song. And it wasn't. Reason being is the label wanted somebody to look good, even if they did not have talent, to represent the person singing on that song. Music videos, video vixens, all that stuff from the early 2000s and stuff where they started getting video vixens and videos to look good. Not just the people around the way. We had to have paid video vixens that got paid a lot because they needed an image of somebody looking good. Right now, whenever guys, I had a guy yesterday that was telling me about his artist. And the first thing that he said is, my boy, her looks, man, she got a good look. She got this, she got that. And that's where a lot of people lead off with. Whether it is a male or female, doesn't matter. So I try to look in this situation from a different lens. I'm trying to understand, how does that happen? The only other way that I can think of it is maybe it was an issue with maybe another female, with another woman, because, let's just be honest, women are kind of spiteful like that, I can see that. I can see that in a different workforce too. Like, maybe at an office job or something like that, they do have that type of thing going on in these places. They have that happens. You know what I'm saying? This is things that happen in the workforce. You know what I'm saying? Pretty punishment. That's crazy. It's one of the things where, you might have somebody that might work at a regular 9-to-5 job. It's a lady that's probably been there for 20 years. She doesn't look the best. And then you got this young tenderoni that comes in there. She's 22, 23 years old, fresh out of college, got a good look to her, and all the guys and all the women like, oh, she's so pretty. And all the guys like, oh, we got the new girl in here. And this older woman, she might be a manager or it could be a supervisor, and just puts the girl through the ringer for no reason, no apparent reason, just because she looks good. We've heard about this type of situation before on particular jobs. That is true. But in the music business, I don't know about that. I'm trying to think of what situation that could have been in. Could it have been at a record label meeting where the label's like, hold on, wait a minute. Nah. Everything else is great. It's just your looks, baby girl. You're too good looking. Like, could it have been you go to a club or something like that? And people like, no, you can't come in this club. You're too good looking. Can't let that happen. Do a radio interview? Nah, we can't play none of your music. You're just too good looking. So I'm trying to figure out, where would this come from? Maybe, she might have wanted to go on tour with a certain person. She might have wanted to go on tour with, a certain artist. And then maybe the artist might have been another, woman, and they was like, nah, we can't bring her on tour. She looks too good. She's going to sell too many tickets on my tour. We can't take her. Like, I'm trying to really figure this out because I'm not understanding where this is coming from when pretty much everything in the music industry since maybe post 1980s has always been about looks. There's been music execs that said, listen, I only want to sign good looking people. I don't want no ugly people, good looking people. That's why you see a lot of people who have talent do not get to a megastar status simply because of their looks. People are signing people right now. People are developing people that do not have any talent, but they have looks. They're selling sex. So I'm trying to figure out where this is coming from. But me thinking and me listening to the body of work that she has me thinking something a little different. Now, I will say this. She's not terrible. But just me personally, this is just me. I'm not saying this for the world. I know she has fans. I know this, that, or whatever, and y'all can chime in as well. But me personally, listening to the songs and actually talking, what I did was I actually talked before I made this video, because this clip dropped a few days ago and people have been circulating this clip online and people have been having their opinions on her music. So I had to talk to, where was I at the other day? I was at my mentor spot. There was a few producers there. And I was like, okay, pull this up. And I was like, listen, I was talking to some of the guys. Some of the guys were familiar with the music. Some of the guys were not. There was a lot of people who were not familiar with her music at all, even though she's been out. And I was like, so, she's saying that she's going through pretty punishment because of her looks and this, that, whatever. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of us agreed that when we did go back and play some of the music that we heard, that it was not the look situation, because she does have a good look. She looks fantastic. She don't look better than my girl, though. She don't look better than my girl, but we'll get to that. But love you, baby. But she does have a very good look. However, when we listen to the music, we did not agree with the music. We didn't agree with it. And I think that's what's going on with a lot of artists. I think that a lot of artists have the look, but the music does not match. And that's why I think she may be going through some of the stuff that she's going through. One of the guys told me that her music does not sound believable in a sense. And I was like, please explain that. It's because it's like, man, when she raps, it just seems like she's trying to portray a certain image and a certain lifestyle, but it doesn't seem to add up to that. It seems like it's almost forced. Like she's trying to force this, I'm pretty and I got my bag and I got my money and I'm this and I'm so fine. And it's like just every single verse that we heard was almost kind of like that. It was really no other substance to it. And then when you have that, it's like, oh, okay. And you go back and listen to her first song when she did her first song that kind of blew up when she rapped over the Kaya beat, the My Neck, My Back beat. It's all about that. I'm pretty, I'm getting money, we pretty, we getting money, we pretty guys like us. Then every girl wants to be like us, this, that, whatever. That is what everything portrays. And it's very like closed. Now it's like just rapping with blinders on. Now she does have some other verses where she talk about other things, but most of the stuff is this. I'm pretty, I get a bag. I'm pretty, I'm sexy. I'm pretty, I'm get a bag. I do this, I do that. Which yeah, I'm pretty sure she does. I don't think that, especially around the people that she's, been with and the celebrities she's been with and stuff like that. And I'm not saying been with like sexual, but I'm just saying just been around or maybe dated or just known. But I'm pretty sure, you know what I'm saying? She does tour. She does do shows. We don't know as many songs with her here per se because we're mostly in the South. I know a lot of her audience is over in the Northern Cali area, over on the West Coast side like that. I get it. There's a lot of stuff that we haven't even heard of. But when we hear the records, it's lacking, in my opinion, and in other people's opinions as well. People have been talking about this online, and some people have been very blunt about it. Like, nah, it ain't because of pretty faces, saying it's because of the lack of good music. From the delivery to how it's even been wrote, it's not the best, I would say. Could it be corrected? Of course it could be. But that's just the downfall of certain artists. And I'm going to be honest with you. There's another artist out there that I'm not going to name that is like that as well. She has a very good look, but she needs a writer. She needs somebody to sit down and write everything for her. And if you guys want to take a guess who it is, y'all leave it in the comments. I'll either leave a thumbs up or a thumbs down. But there's a certain artist that came out around 2015, had a big record, from Detroit, and she has a look and everything, but she cannot make music that can really hold up and stand the test of time, and that's the reason why she's been phased out. And I'm going to say this over and over again. There are people who are talented and there are people who are stars. Just because you're a star does not mean you're talented. And just because you're talented does not mean you're a star. So what you have to do is, if you're a star and you're not talented, you need to pair those two people together so they can make the best of the situation. That's why people like Cardi, and that's why certain other people out here, even males, even some guys, they continue to keep going because they pair up with talented people. A lot of these people don't write their stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? This is right now, we're in a pop era of hip hop and everything where a lot of people are not penning their own music. Now they're in the studio helping, giving advice. I don't think everybody's just doing everything, but they're in there working. Okay. I know this for a fact. Like even with Cardi, years ago, they had writing sessions for Cardi, and she was very active. Like my guy, he had me over there for one of the sessions, and she was very active. Once everybody left and they heard the song, she was very active in saying, no, we're not going to do this, and we're going to take that out, we're going to do this. She would really go in there and produce her records like that. So don't think that she's just one who's just, everybody's doing everything for her, and they just put the song in front of her face and she's done. No, it's not like that. But talented people get with stars to make them better. Like Chris Brown would tell you, he's had songs written for him, but like he says, it's not about who writes it, it's how you deliver the records. So you can have somebody write a good song for you, but you still have to deliver it for you. You got to think one of the biggest hip hop songs of all times, Still Dre, with Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre on it. One of the biggest songs of all times wasn't even written by them. It was written by Jay-Z, an East Coast guy that written the biggest West Coast song, one of the biggest West Coast songs of all times. And they accepted it, and look what the song did. It was a talented person, who was also a star too, that wrote a record for superstars. And look what happened. This is documented, as known. Snoop would say, hey, look, we wasn't going in the studio to try to, we would be in there trying to get better, but we were trying to make the best product. And that was before that. There's tons of writers and stuff right now who write for Beyonce. There's tons of writers who do stuff with The Weeknd. There's tons of writers who do stuff with Chris Brown. There's tons of writers who work with artists, rap artists. They do the hooks and do all this stuff. There's a lot of stuff you guys don't see. But they accept the fact that maybe if I get in here with talented people, I can get better. And you can tell the ones who are not in the rooms with talented people to help them out, or you can tell the ones who don't want the help, but then they blame everything else for why their career is not going that way. The one thing about this music industry is, if it's not selling, they don't want you. I don't care how big you've been before. I don't care if you've been big for 20 years. If it's not selling, they don't want you. When I was at Capitol, I seen a few artists that literally could have been big, but they did not want the help. They wanted to do everything. Oh, I got to keep all my publishing, this, that, whatever. I got to keep all my publishing. Yeah, you could have kept all your publishing. You can keep 100% of your publishing. But if you keep 100% of nothing, it's going to be nothing. I would rather keep 10% of a song that generated $100 million than to keep 100% of a song that generated $10,000. And that's what goes on with a lot of these artists. But in this situation, she's saying that it's a lot of situations, a lot of things, a lot of bags she didn't get because her looks. And I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, I don't know about that one. That's just me personally. I don't know about that. I just think that, the product that she has is not resonating with people like that. And it's always a little harder for women. Don't get me wrong. Women, when they come into the game, they're already 3 steps behind. So I'll give her that. She's already 3 steps behind. But there are women who did catch up and had talent. And it's not because somebody looks better than them or doesn't look better than them. It's because they have the talent, or they have talented people around them that make them better. And a lot of times too, with certain situations, your team that you have around too, your team can mess up opportunities for you. And you may think, oh, the reason why they didn't do that is because I look too good. No, I've literally seen managers mess up artists' career because they always said no, 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 we want to do it our way. Telling the label, the people that's paying them, no, no, no. I've seen this. And the label's like, we can't do nothing with that. Just let them go. So it's more to it than just I'm pretty. Nah, it's more to it than that. Just from what I've seen from my short stint in the music industry, like, you know, I've been involved with the music industry for years, but when I was deep into it, when I signed artists, when I developed artists or whatever, I've seen this type of stuff. Okay? I know what they do. They try to make every artist look great. And if you're an artist that looks good, that's already a plus already. People will accept you even more in the industry if you look good. There's people that I know right now that I had guys bring to my studio strictly because the girls look good. They could not even rap. They couldn't even sing. But just strictly because they look good, they was like, yo, we can do something with this. She has a look. Y'all have heard that before. They always say she has a look. And people will bypass everything else just because this person has a look because they know sex sells. And it doesn't have to mean they have to be totally naked, but as long as somebody's, you know, as long as they're good on the eyes, we can make that work. So for her to say that, I just don't really know about that. But what I do know is when we did have that conversation, we all kind of agreed on the music had to be a little bit better. And this is something that even if she was in the studio with me right now and we was having this conversation, I would go through her music and I would say, when I'm listening to it, it just does not resonate and it's not resonating with people. Now, it could be other situations that we don't know. It could be brand deals. It could be whatever. That's something outside. But the music side, what I'm saying is, how many of y'all can sit here and literally tell me any of her songs or what's the name of her songs? Who is she featured with? You know, can y'all tell me that? I know she had a pretty big record with Doja Cat. I believe that was pretty cool. But other than that, like, can you sit here and say that if you were riding in the car with a female, she would say, hey, let's throw on some Saweetie right now. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know, man. That's kind of crazy to me right there. It's kind of crazy, but, you know, that's how she feels. Maybe it could be some, I'm pretty sure there's some, maybe a little tiny bit of truth to that. You know, I could see that, but I don't know, man. I just never seen nothing like it. And I don't know about this situation. But y'all let me know how y'all feel about it.